Hello everyone, this is Sarad. I am a research assistant under Dr. Anelika Vasquez Ortega at Aqueous and Terrestrial Geochemistry Lab at Bowling Green State University. Today I am talking about my research, which is about assessing the effect of dredged material on soil nutrient dynamics in Northwest Ohio. I had an opportunity to present this research at the annual meeting of Agronomy Society of America, Crop Science Society of America, and Soil Science Society of America that was organized in November 2024 in San Antonio, Texas. Now, beginning with my presentation. First of all, I'd like to talk about sedimentation, dredging, and dredged materials. Well, in hydrology, sedimentation and runoff, they are natural processes. Whenever there is a precipitation or rainfall event, the sediments or the soil particles from the watershed area, they are carried away along with the runoff water to the water bodies and they get deposited on the bottom of the water bodies. Although runoff and sedimentation, they are natural processes, but due to the increased use of land for agriculture and other anthropogenic activities, the sedimentation process has been accelerated. And due to the acceleration of sedimentation, the sediments are being deposited on the bottom of the water bodies at a quicker rate. Since we use our water bodies for navigation and recreation purposes, it is necessary to remove those sediments from the bottom of the water bodies to ensure safe and smooth navigation. Therefore, the process of taking those sediments out of the water bodies is known as dredging, and the sediments that are taken out of the water bodies are known as dredged sediments or dredged material. In this course of presentation, I'll be using these two terms, dredged materials or dredged sediments, to refer to the sediments that are taken out of the water bodies. In case of United States, every year billions of cubic yards of dredged materials are removed from ports, harbors, waterways, and navigation channels. And in case of Ohio, the quantity is around 1.5 million cubic yards. So you might be wondering, where do this huge amount of dredged material go after taking them out of the water bodies? Well, in case of Ohio, before 2020, there was an easier way. The dredged sediments, they were taken out of the water bodies and they were disposed into the open waters of Lake Erie. However, in the Great Lake regions, water quality issue is one of the major environmental challenges. And there is algal bloom due to the runoff of nutrients from the agricultural field to the water bodies. And to combat with this problem of algal bloom and water quality issues, the Ohio legislature prohibited the open water disposal of dredged materials in Lake Erie after July 2020. Since then, the dredged materials are being managed at dredged safety facilities such as Toledo Harbor Dredged Material Facility 3 and other dredged safety facilities in Ohio. However, we can easily assume that this is not a sustainable solution because every year we produce millions of tons of dredged material and these dredged safety facilities, they have only limited capacities. Therefore, the scientists and the environmental agencies, they are trying to find several beneficial uses of dredged material. And one of them is the use of dredged material as an agricultural amendment. And my research is also focused on the use of dredged material as an agricultural amendment. So the idea is bringing back the dredged material to the farm. But again, the question is it worthy or is it useful to bring back the dredged material to the farm? Well, the past research, they say that it is useful to use the dredged material as an agricultural amendment because the use of dredged material, it promotes root growth and development, it increases crop yield, and it contributes to the soil health. It promotes soil health by increasing cation exchange capacity, by increasing pH, and by increasing the amount of essential soil nutrients. Also, it was found that with the increase in amount of dredged material, the potential uptake of heavy metals was decreased in case of specialty crops such as lettuce. Therefore, from these findings, we can conclude that using dredged material as an agricultural amendment is efficient and it promotes to the agricultural productivity and soil health. However, there is still a limited understanding on how the dredged material impact the nutrient dynamics in the farm soil. Does the dredged material amendment helps in carbon sequestration and phosphorus retention in soil? And how do the mineral pools in the soil interact with soil nutrients in dredged material amended soils? My research will try to answer these questions. Therefore, my objectives for this research are to evaluate the amount and distribution of soil nutrients in dredged material amended farm soils and to understand the interactions of carbon and other soil nutrients with redox sensitive mineral pools in dredged material amended soils. To fulfill these objectives, soil samples were collected from Agricultural Incubation Foundation in Bowling Green, Ohio. Agriculture Incubation Foundation is an organically managed field and the dredged material was applied in spring 2022 at Agricultural Incubation Foundation. Dredged material was applied in such a way that the total amount of soil phosphorus does not exceed the recommended amount of soil phosphorus, that is 20 to 40 parts per million of Meclic 3 soil phosphorus. So at Agricultural Incubation Foundation, we had 3 fields. The first field did not receive any amount of dredged material. The second field was applied with 40 tons of dredged material per acre, and the third field was applied with 80 tons of dredged material per acre. From each field, we collected soil samples from 3 locations. In the figure, you can see that soil locations are named as soil profile 1, soil profile 2, and soil profile 3. And from each location, we collected soil sample as a function of depth, that is from the depth of 0 to 5 centimeter, 5 to 15 centimeter, and 15 to 30 centimeter. Thus, we collected soil samples from 3 fields, 3 locations in each field, and 3 depths from each location. So to summarize, we collected a total of 27 soil samples. After the soil samples were collected, they were air dried in the lab, grinded, and then they were subjected to different geochemical characterization, which included solid characterization as well as aqueous characterization. In case of solid characterization, solid soil sample was used for geochemical analysis, which include basic soil test, heavy metals and cations, total carbon, inorganic carbon, and total nitrogen and total phosphorus. And the instruments that are painted in green on the left bottom side of this figure, they were used for the geochemical analysis. In case of aqueous characterization, first of all, a chemical sequential extraction was carried out. I will talk more about the chemical sequential extraction in my next slide. So first of all, a chemical sequential extraction was carried out and we obtained liquid extracts from chemical sequential extraction, and those liquid extracts, they were used for different geochemical analysis, which included total organic carbon, total nitrogen, phosphate, nitrate, nitrite, heavy metals, and cations. And the instruments that were used for the geochemical analysis of the aqueous samples are listed on the right bottom side and shown in the purple color. Now this slide shows or talks about the sequential extraction that I was talking about earlier. It shows the detailed procedures and the steps of chemical sequential extraction. But I will briefly explain you about the processes and steps. The chemical sequential extraction, it has 4 steps, and in each step we target a different mineral pool, beginning with the water extractable pool, and then we go to the manganese oxyhydroxide mineral pool, which is the second mineral pool, and the third mineral pool is amorphous iron oxyhydroxide mineral pool, and the fourth mineral pool is crystalline iron oxyhydroxide mineral pool. So the chemical sequential extraction, it begins by taking 10 grams of soil, and as we move from step 1 to step 4, the soil is treated with aggressive reaction conditions, which included stronger reagents in terms of concentration, higher temperature, and decreased pH or more acidic condition. The condition get aggressive with each step because at each subsequent step we are targeting a more recalcitrant mineral pool. So at the end of the sequential extraction, we obtained liquid extract for each mineral pool and a leftover soil, which is known as residual soil, and these residual soil contain recalcitrant minerals such as aluminosilicates. Now, coming to results and discussion, this research is still ongoing and I haven't produced and plotted all of my data. So the results I'll be talking here will be the preliminary results. This figure shows the total organic carbon and macronutrients in solid soil samples. So from the figure, we can see that with the increase in amount of dredged material, there is a general trend that the total organic carbon as well as total nitrogen, phosphorus, and total potassium has increased. This figure, it shows the amount of calcium, cation exchange capacity, and pH in solid soil samples. Also, in case of total calcium and bioavailable calcium, we can see that the amount of calcium has increased with the increase in amount of dredged material. And same is the trend in case of cation exchange capacity, because cation exchange capacity is mostly the function of calcium in the soil, and cation exchange capacity is important because it is a good indicator of soil health. And in case of pH, with the increase in amount of dredged material, the soil pH has slightly shifted to the range of 7 to 7.5, which is in agreement with the previous research in dredged materials. This slide shows the amount of iron and manganese in solid soil samples. Iron and manganese is important for this research because the mineral pools we are targeting in the sequential extraction, they are the mineral pools of iron and manganese oxyhydroxide. So in case of iron, we can see that there is a trend of increasing, in increasing the amount of total iron with the increase in amount of dredged material. But in case of manganese, the control field has higher amount of manganese compared to the field with 40 tons of dredged material per acre. Now this is the result from the sequential extraction, and the figure shows the total organic carbon mass percentage in different mineral pools of the sequential extraction for aqueous samples obtained from different treatments. So from the figure we can see that still the residual pool has the highest amount of total organic carbon. Besides the residual pool, total organic carbon is mostly stabilized by the fourth mineral pool or the long range or crystalline iron mineral pool. This figure shows the amount of phosphate phosphorus mass percentage in different mineral pools of the sequential extraction for aqueous samples obtained from different treatments. So from the figure we can see that phosphate phosphorus is mostly stabilized in the second mineral pool or the manganese oxyhydroxide mineral pool. Also, the mineral pools of iron oxyhydroxides have significant amount of phosphorus. These are the results from a different research conducted by Frank et al. In 2022, but without using the dredged material. In case of dredged material, they conducted the research with different management practices, especially with different tillage practices. And the results they obtained from sequential extraction are in agreement with our are in agreement with our results. They also found that carbon is mostly stabilized by the fourth mineral pool, that is crystalline oxyhydroxide mineral pool, and in case of phosphorus is mainly stabilized by the manganese oxyhydroxide mineral pools and also the iron oxyhydroxide mineral pools. Therefore, from those findings, we can conclude that carbon and phosphorus are mostly stabilized in iron and manganese oxides mineral pools, and the trace materials show the similar pattern to organic soils for carbon sequestration and phosphorus retention. And with already known benefits of trace material, and from the findings from this research, which is about the carbon sequestration and phosphorus retention in the soil, we can conclude that dredged material can be continued as an agronomic amendment for improving soil health and to maintain environmental sustainability in the Great Lake regions. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge my advisors and my lab mates as well as the funding agencies for their support for this research, and I'd like to thank you everyone. Thank you.